So like Priyanka said, I think that's a good context that typically a lot of times we've seen products coming into market, whether be it digital products, be it offline products, like say in the FMCG category, some succeed, some fail. What's the reason? What causes a particular product to succeed or a particular product to fail? I think that's where the entire perspective of bringing new products to market or driving product adoption becomes very critical. So the way I want to start is, I think this is something I very genuinely believe in, and I'm sure a lot of you would have heard it or you would have read about it. But the success or failure of a good product fundamentally depends on how you are able to take it to market, which typically in a lot of organizations called as the go-to-market strategy. I think that clearly defines the success or failure of any particular product. I genuinely believe that a good product with a good quality GTM always trumps a great product if it has poor GTM strategy. And the way I want to take up the further slides in the conversation today is one, talk about actually covers a good go-to-market strategy. What are the basics of a good go-to-market strategy? What are things as a product marketer, if you're doing, how what you should be looking into it, and then obviously share pepper it with a lot of my examples, how I've done things in my career or what I've seen great organizations do across the career so far, so that all of us get a good sense of how can we take some learnings away from the session. And I will keep taking pauses in between the sessions, so if you guys have any question, like Sai mentioned, please share your questions in the Q&A box and we'll take it forward from there. So, like I said, history is full of such examples, good products trumping great products just because on the back of good GTM strategy. So let me give you some examples. Does anyone know what this is? Okay. So this is the world's first portable digital music player, which came out of an organization in South Korea. Do any of us recall this? I don't know.
Yes, a lot of them are telling it as a Walkman. So I think so we should pause for about half a minute before people start processing their answers.
Yeah, sure. So for those who are saying Walkman, actually it's slightly later technology than a Walkman, but because Walkman, as a lot of people would remember, you need to put in a cassette or something. This is the world's first portable digital music player. But do we know about it? Do a lot of us remember it, or do we even know the name? I don't think so. But I'll show you. Just give me a second. Do people know what this is? Yep, that's the first iPod.
We have a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so because Apple, yeah, people are saying that.
Yeah. What's the difference, right? Both of them technically are solving the same thing. Both are digital portable music players. In fact, the one on the left actually came many years before it to the market. What was special about the Apple iPod? In terms of delivering the benefit to the consumer is doing the same thing. But what was different is the way Apple was able to take it to market, the way they were able to put a marketing strategy, the way they were able to put a go-to-market strategy around it. I think that was it, what made the iPod a huge success and a name which everyone remembers even multiple years. Apple has actually discontinued iPod today, but it didn't take a lot of you more than 30 seconds to recall what it is. Let me give you another example on the same lines. You know this man, right? Most of you would know this man. What does he have in his hand? I think there's a title also which says what it is. Yeah, that's a Microsoft Windows tablet which came out in 2002. And this was not the first tablet, actually, by the way. There were many, many more which had come prior to this. Do we even know today where it is? I don't know. But I'm sure everyone knows this, right? I don't even need to put the name to it. Everyone knows this. And it came many years down the line after the first tablet PC came out. Again, what was different? The way was it a technology wise? Maybe slightly different. But in terms of functionality, I think more or less the same functionality which any tablet we see, even what Mr. Bill Gates is holding here. What was Apple able to do? What was different from Microsoft? They were able to put in a strong story behind it. They were able to put in a strong communication or marketing strategy behind it, a good go-to-market strategy behind it, which made iPad the humongous success it is today, versus probably no one even remembers what happened to the Windows tablet. One final example. Does anyone know what this is? It's a mobile, yeah, obviously. But what's special about it? Yeah. So, like some folks have said, this is the world's first touchscreen mobile phone, which came out by the company by IBM in 1992. Again, touchscreen phone, IBM launched it in 1992. I'm sure there were many other organizations who launched it over the next 15, 20 years. But which is the one touchscreen phone which truly revolutionized the smartphone arena? The Apple iPhone. Again, technology, maybe few things here and there were different, but what drove iPhone to become the huge success it is, and actually drove the entire generation of touchscreen technology on mobile phone. I think Android actually followed Apple multiple years after that to become the huge success. Apple was the one who popularized the entire touchscreen arena in the first place. What did they do different? I think the three examples, I picked up Apple specifically because they are one of the pioneers of doing it in such a beautiful way. And I just picked three. You could actually do a section entirely on just Apple product. What they are able to do, they are able to take products which are, they're not necessarily first to market, but they're able to build in a strong storyline behind each of the products. They're able to build a strong consumer story, a consumer connect around these products. They are able to put in a strong machinery behind all of these products, which make them much more desirable, which make them much more appealing to consumers, which drive the sales of these products. And that's what make them a successful product organization. Now, it's easy to say, okay, Apple does it. So what do they think of doing? The way I want to put that is, like I just said, what drove this? It was a good product. The product was good. And there are people who would probably even today say that, hey, there are better phones out there than an iPhone, or there are better tablets out there than an iPad. But the truth is that these two rule their market, right? It was a great go-to-market strategy which initially drove the adoption for these products. And once the adoption kicked in, then it was just a matter of time that they became mass products for everyone to jump into. So just taking or thinking about it, what defines a good or a great go-to-market strategy, right? I say that there are three pillars of it. The three pillars are who, what, and when. And I'll explain to you in the coming slides what I mean by each of these. Just remember this: who, what, and when, the three pillars of a great go-to-market strategy. First and foremost, when we say who, the who is the target audience. Forget an Apple product, right? Even any one of you working in your separate respective organizations, if you're into product marketing, you have to be very clear the product you're creating, what is the ideal customer persona for a product. You have to break it down into as much detail as you can. What is the demographic of the consumer? What are the psychographics or behavioral traits of the consumers? What do we know about the lifestyle of that consumer? And how do you pitch your product by understanding all of these? And the best way to do that is almost imagine an ideal customer in your mind and say, hey, this is, say, for example, Priyanka, 25 years old, lives in Delhi, owns this particular kind of a device, consumes content on these particular kind of channels. Once you understand that individual as a whole, and then you say that this is my product which brings this value addition to this life of the consumer, that is where your ideal customer profile is defined. And I think one of the policies which I've highlighted here, a lot of times when we are working in our respective organizations, we tend to view everything from our own lens of how we would look at that product or how we would absorb that product. I think that creates at a lot of times it creates a fallacy, and hence I keep reminding everyone, you are not your customer. Means in a majority of cases you are not your customer. So always when you're defining your target audience, think about who is the ideal persona for that product and how are they going to consume that product. In one of my previous organizations, we actually used to do, when I used to be in telecom, because that was a point in time when telecom was penetrating into rural India, and all of us sitting inside our metro offices were not just able to think, okay, how would rural India think about this product? We created what we called as Ramu test back then. And Ramu, a lot of people in North India would know that this is a name you use for your office boy, or you would have, say, someone at your home. What we would do is we will bring folks who are from that rural background and make them go through our products or our communication or our marketing messages and ask them to evaluate them. We wanted to remove any biases we could bring because we were looking at that product day in, day night. We were defining that product, we were defining that messaging. We were too close to it, and anyways, you're not a target audience. We ran all of these products, we ran all of these communication messaging through people who were from that particular consumer personas, who were actually in those kind of geographies, and we made them go through those tests. And basis that we used to define, okay, whether something is working or not working. So always keep this in mind, that define the target audience and then keep that in mind that you are not your target customer. The what, the second pillar, what is the problem being solved? For any product to drive adoption or for any success to have, you should be able to answer what is the problem you're solving for your ideal persona. The example playing again, right? Maggie. What's the problem Maggie is solving for us? I am just pausing for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. What do you think is the problem Maggie is solving for us? Yeah. Instant food, tasty, familiarity, convenience, all of that, right? When Maggie changed the flavor, what did they take away? Yeah, I think I see taste, right? People were used to a certain taste. People were looking at Maggie as a solution, that they wanted something to be tasty, something which they liked, and something which can be done in a quick manner. Now, Maggie kept all the quick and everything around it, but they changed the taste to a certain extent, which did not really matter, which did not really go down with the consumer. And that is why for every product, you should be very clear what is the problem you're solving. And when you say problem, right, it should not be inside out from an organization perspective. You should not say, okay, my product, I'm a smartphone company, my product has 12 megapixel camera, or it has a 8 GB processor, or whatever. Those are features. What do those features enable your target audience to do? What is the benefit add which those features do for the consumer? I think that is the story which has to be told. So again, let's go back to the example of an Apple phone. The benefit they said, and even today, if you look at all the Apple messaging, you never see Apple talking about in their advertisement saying Apple device has 15 megapixel camera, 20 megapixel camera, 40 megapixel camera, right? What you see in Apple advertisement is, okay, you can click these great photographs with an Apple device. You can capture these great moments with the Apple device. Or even the latest Apple ad, which has been going on, you can say it's spill proof, waterproof, break proof. They are showing the benefit of the product in the consumer's life. They're not saying, okay, we have a Corning Gorilla Glass, we have an unbreakable thing, we have 6 meter underwater depth and all of that. They're not bringing any of those technical jargon. They're just presenting their product. How does that fit into the consumer's life and what is the benefit gets to them? So that's the key feature which everyone should talk about whenever they're trying to drive adoption of a product. Always talk benefit first rather than feature first. And again, I'll give you another example from my own personal experience in my career. Many years back, I was part of the team which was rolling out 3G services in India. The question, a lot of times, a lot of communication which used to be going around at that point in time at the beginning was, okay, it's the fastest internet on mobile. You can get speeds up to 20 Mbps on mobile, etc., etc., etc. But the product did not work. We went, we spoke to consumers, we said, okay, this is 20 Mbps speed and all of that. Why are you not using it? The feedback which you got us thinking. The feedback was, I don't really understand MBs, GBs, and a lot of that concept. What does 20 Mbps mean for me? And that's where the penny dropped for us. We said the consumers really don't care if it's 2 Mbps or 20 Mbps. We have to show them what's the difference. The next time when we went out, we said, okay, you want to see the difference of a 3G network versus your existing 2G connection. On 2G, if you have to, 2G at best, what you can do? Send emails, probably do, I think WhatsApp was also very new back then. So probably you can do a little bit of text messaging and all. On 3G, you can open up a live streaming match, which is happening right now, or you can open any news website and watch live news on your mobile as it's happening. You can watch a live cricket match as it's happening. And that's where people started realizing the benefit of having a 3G connection versus the existing 2G connection. That's where people started feeling, okay, 3G for me means I can watch everything on an instant without having to wait. I can watch everything on the move without having to be closer to a television set. If I want to watch a cricket match happening live right now, I can do that. Once people started understanding that, that is the point in time when the entire journey of high-speed internet adoption in this country started taking place. Obviously, a lot of things also needed to come into place to move that in the right direction. But at least from a consumer perspective, that is the point in time they at least started realizing that yes, there's a clear benefit to my life if I start using this particular product. Everything else then started working around that. The third pillar, and I think that actually becomes one of the most important, when should you talk to the consumer about the product? Now, for a lot of products, you will not be able to find an easy answer to it. The best answer to it comes when you look at your consumer, when you look at their lifestyle, and when you're able to look at what are the different stages of the consumer's journey by which you can identify what are the right moments where you can intervene to drive adoption. Those are the moments which I actually call moments of truth. So, for example, and again, I'll give you an example from my own experiences as well. Many years back, smartphones were just entering into this country, and smartphone adoption was directly related to what is the entire high-speed internet adoption in the country. Now, as I was part of Airtel, which is at that point in time was the India's largest telecom operator, largest 3G player in the country, and we were trying to get more and more people to adopt to 3G services. Now, getting people to use 3G, obviously there was a lot of challenge. You had to give them the benefit, you had to tell them the story, you had to make sure distribution was there. But we figured out when we went back to data and we figured out what is that key moment where we are seeing people drive adoption of 3G, it came out very clearly. The moment anyone was buying a new smartphone or the moment they were upgrading to a new smartphone, if they were existing smartphone users, that was the time when the 3G adoption had the highest chances of making an impact. A new device purchase clearly was the biggest moment of truth in driving adoption of high-speed internet. That insight enabled us at Airtel to create an entire program working with all the smartphone OEMs in the country, working with all the smartphone selling outlets in the country, and create an entire go-to-market strategy that every smartphone getting sold in the country, how can we go out and capture them? How can we ensure that we are present at all those touch points where the sale is happening? And then how do we use that to drive adoption of high-speed internet, 3G/4G services in the country? And that clearly became the moment where we were able to turn the tide and start driving the adoption in the country in a very aggressive manner. And because of this moment of truth, it is as simple as this. Timing is everything. You can keep talking to consumers about, okay, we have this great product, we have this great service, there are these great benefits. But if you are not at that right point in the consumer life cycle, if you are not at the right consumer buying cycle or at the right moment of truth, then everything else would just fall away. So, and this does not come easy. For to be able to do this, one needs to have a very, very deep understanding of the consumer buying behavior. One needs to have a very strong understanding of the consumer's psychographics, like I mentioned, the consumer life stages. And that's what will help a good product market identify what are the right moments of truth and how should we make sure that all our go-to-market strategies are targeting the user at that point in time. I'll take a pause here and just open the floor for the next 1 or 2 minutes if there are any questions, and then I'll move to the next part of my presentation.
So Somil, there is a question.
Okay.
Let me just read out to you by Ashil Parekh. Does this feature versus benefit concept also applies to technical product as well, where your persona is an IT guy? Or yeah.
Oh, I think that's a good question, Ashil. I think it applies to everyone, even if your target persona is the IT guy, right? Even that IT guy has a role in the organization. He's supposed to deliver certain benefit for the organization. The features should be able to translate into a particular benefit for that particular person. For example, if the IT guy, and I'm just taking an example, if the IT guy is responsible for buying laptops for the organization, even that guy, you should be able to explain that, okay, if you're say HP trying to do a laptop sale to them, you should be able to say, okay, my laptops have these features, which will enable your employees to do their jobs better or in a faster manner or in a more efficient manner. Or if you buy my product, the total cost of ownership for the laptop is going to be much lower versus if you buy an XYZ competitor's product. Now you have to understand what is that IT guy's motivation. The IT guy's motivation to succeed in his career is that he would want to show to his organization he's got sufficient cost savings. He would be able to show to his organization he's got higher productivity for the employees. And if you're able to show the benefits of your product aligned to his incentives, that's where the entire story will work. So clearly, it holds for them as well.